Okay, good morning. So last session we discussed about working with radio buttons and checkboxes in HTML form elements. We learned about radios and checkbox. We discussed about two important points. Both are used for selecting one or multiple options. But problem with radio button is radio button once checked, you cannot uncheck. So that is the reason you can select more than one also. That is the reason to use radio buttons, you have to use a mechanism called, what is that mechanism? Mutex. Mutex is mutual exclusion. How mutex can happen? How mutex can happen? Mutex can happen if all elements are having the same name. That means to enable mutex, all elements must have same name, so that it will allow to select only one. But this is only for radios. For checkboxes, even you have the same name, it will allow to select more than one. So only radios exhibit that mutex mechanism. Next, we have checkbox. Checkbox also, I told you, we can select one or more than one. And one example I showed you how we can apply colors for checked. So this tilde symbol indicates that it will apply effect for adjacent element. That means accept is checkbox, adjacent of checkbox is span. This symbol tilde indicates adjacent to span. That means the tilde symbol in CSS indicates adjacent element. So it is adjacent element. So that means there we apply here hash some what is that ID I given there? I given the ID as accept. So for that we have accept tilde span like this. This is adjacent to span. So that is usually checked property. I showed you one option how we can define the checkbox. One more important about checkbox is, these days with modern designs, checkboxes will not look like checkbox. Checkboxes don't look like checkboxes. So you may feel like that is a new element, but it is checkbox only. They change the appearance of checkbox. For example, see where you can see them. Suppose I will go to personalize. So in this you have some options, background colors. Yeah, you see here transparency effects. You have a switch on off. Switch is there. So that is also a checkbox on. This is also a checkbox on. So with CSS, this type of appearance is given. That's the reason many times you may confuse like how this type of element comes in a form. In a form, we don't have such element. But you will see such element regularly these days, because these days in modern websites, they don't use traditional checkboxes. They use this. Once click, it is off. Again click, it is on. The word on and off through JavaScript they will change. JavaScript, jQuery, they can change that word on and off. But appearance like that you can give. For that, you need additional CSS. Already, you see here, we are using bootstrap icons. So we are using, means we can say modern checkbox. How we can get modern checkbox? To get modern checkbox, you can try this. So download and install bootstrap. Download and install bootstrap. Already you downloaded and installed bootstrap icons. Later detailedly we will learn bootstrap. As a separate session we will discuss bootstrap. But as of now, to design modern forms, we need this bootstrap. How to install? You have to use the command npm install bootstrap. Npm install bootstrap. Always use save as a flag. That is good. Npm install bootstrap. In your project, you have to install it. Now, after installing bootstrap, what you have to do is link bootstrap file, bootstrap CSS file to your web page. You can link your bootstrap CSS file in the web page. Usually, whatever library you download, that library is present in which location? Node modules, right? You have to go to node modules. In node modules, you will find bootstrap in that dist, in that CSS, in that bootstrap.css. I will show you. That is the location of bootstrap CSS. How to link already we know. So link relation is equal to style sheet and link href, we have to use this. So that is the bootstrap CSS file. Let's see. After this, now what you have to do is apply the following classes for checkbox. You have to apply the classes for checkbox. What are the classes? We have to use the class called form switch. Form switch. And the form check input. These two we have to use. Form switch and form check input. These classes we have to apply. So dot indicates class, dot form switch, dot form check input. If anything preceded with dot means it is an checkbox. Okay, let's apply this and see. Let's go to the project. In this project, now we have to install bootstrap. In our web application, npm install bootstrap save. So it is downloading bootstrap, done, successful. Okay. Now already let's take a new one or apply here only. So here we have a checkbox. Let's run this and see this page. This is ordinary checkbox, and ordinary checkbox looks like a checkbox only. It looks like a checkbox, I accept. Now what we have to do is we have to link bootstrap. So link bootstrap to this page. Link relation is equal to style sheet, href is equal to, it is in node modules, bootstrap dist css, bootstrap.css, bootstrap.css. Initially you have to link this. After that, now go to this checkbox. the container, the div that contains checkbox, for that container, here the div which is having the checkbox, here we have to use a class. Here we have to use a class called form switch. We have to use form switch. We have to use form switch. So I used form switch, and here you can see still no change occurred. We have to give another class for checkbox, form check input. Form check input. We have to define form check input. When we apply form check input, now it changes to that slider. Little bit container width, what you can do is for body, because when you apply bootstrap, indents will be missing. You can apply a class for body container, that is enough. That container class have some space adjusted. Now you see this is checkbox only. That is checkbox. And I click on this, it is turned off. Again click, that is turned on. So this is the modern checkboxes. So in the forms, whatever you see, they are all traditional HTML elements only. But with CSS, they can change the appearance. So you should not think like these are some new elements that you haven't learned, right? Whatever elements are there, those we will learn, everything. But when you see a website, you will feel like some elements are new, you haven't learned about them. So the point is, you have learned about them, but their appearance changed with the help of CSS. So until or unless anybody tells the newcomers that this is checkbox, nobody knows. They don't know that this is a checkbox. They think that this is something new element in form, but it is checkbox. This option also newly available from Bootstrap version 5. Actually, people who are working in companies, they still use Bootstrap 3 and 4. They even don't know Bootstrap 5. This is newly added from Bootstrap 5. Bootstrap 5 is very latest version, and in that version, this facility is there. In older versions of Bootstrap, people who already know web development, they know traditional checkbox only. That means even Bootstrap older versions also don't have this feature. Only Bootstrap higher versions, it have this feature. So important note is, so these classes are available from Bootstrap 5 version. Available from Bootstrap 5 version. In older version Bootstrap, they are not available. That means sometimes you go to a company where they are working on older version and you try this class, it will not work. So you have to make sure that the version of Bootstrap they are using is 5 and above. Then only these classes are available, right? Syntactically, how to achieve this? First, we need a container. In that container class, we have to give form switch. Form switch. In that, we need a checkbox. Input type is equal to checkbox. For this class, you have to give form check input. And you say some yes, no, something like this, and div close. This is how we have to design. So that is the new checkbox. That is not the new checkbox of this is not the new checkbox of our HTML form. This is the new checkbox through CSS, Bootstrap CSS. HTML checkbox is same, no change, right? You have to change its appearance with this mechanism. So that is about radio buttons and checkboxes. Next another important option is drop downs, drop down list. Drop down list. Another is drop down list. What is problem with radios and checkboxes? You have 20-30 options, and out of that user have to select one or many. Then space on screen for them will be more. So, or last session I told you we can create a checkbox list. Checkbox list allows to scroll the checkboxes. For that we applied some CSS overflow as auto. Then it will give a checkbox scrollable checkbox. But identifying which option they selected from hundreds of options will be difficult in our logic. Not only on the screen, which option they selected, identifying it will be difficult. For that, we have to check every checkbox checked or not. Checkbox 1 checked, checkbox 2 checked. If there are, suppose you say, select your city from a list of cities and you give radio buttons, 20-30 radio buttons, out of that user will select any one, identifying it will be difficult. For that, we can better go with a drop down list. Drop down list is nothing but it allows the user to select. It allows the user to select any one option. To select any one option from list. It allows the user to select any one option from list. And how to design drop-down list? To design drop-down list, so you have to use elements. One is the select element. The select element defines the select elements. The select element defines drop down list, and option defines items in drop down list. Any one option from list, select element defines drop down list, and the option defines items in drop down list. So syntactically we have to design select. In that select we have option. So this is item 1 and option close. And we have option, so that is item 2, then option close, and select like this. So many important attributes are there. I will tell you what are the attributes. We will see them. Initially, drop down allows the user to select any one option from list. Any one option from list. So you can see here, when we want to create a drop down, let's create a new one. I am just designing here. Say select a category. Select a category. So then in that we are using select. In select we have option. Now in that option we are defining, suppose, so electronics. So another option like footwear and another option like fashion, something like this. And you see this is a drop down, and the drop down allows the user to select any one option. So by default, the first one I can keep option as some all, and by default you can see it will be all, and user can select any one option from the list. Now here so many other concepts are there, other options are there. Actually every option so have some important points. See, every option comprises of following attributes. One attribute is we have value. What are the attributes we are having? One, value. It indicates, it defines the value to submit. It defines the value to submit. Second, we have selected. It makes the option selected. It makes the option selected. It makes the option selected. That means you can say default selection. It is default selection. It is default selection. Next we have disabled. It will not allow to select any option, any specific option. It will not allow to select any specific option. Disabled. So you have these three properties, attributes: value, selected, and disabled. In HTML, I told you that we have attributes. But every option comprises of following properties. These properties are used in JavaScript. We use these properties in JavaScript, not in HTML. In HTML, we use only attributes. In JavaScript, you have value, same, no change. We have selected, that is also same, no change. Another disabled, this is also same, no change, but extra we have text. So text is used in JavaScript when you are dealing your drop down through JavaScript. If you are dealing your drop down with JavaScript, text it is nothing but it indicates the text to display for item in drop down. Indicates the text to display in drop down. That means we have option. Inside this option we will have value. Value is equal to whatever value you want, and here we will have text. Text indicates what text you want to display here, what text user should see. Through JavaScript, if you want to control it, then you have to use a property called text. Text is not available as attribute, but text is available as a property. So forget about text now, as of now, because that you have to use in our JavaScript. But remember that because in JavaScript we have to use a property called text. Otherwise it looks empty. So what are these options? I will show you. See, currently we have this, and let's design this inside a form. inside a form we are creating. And we have some button here as register. Okay, now you can see this is the form, and we have name and all common. So for select we have a name called category. Okay, they are common, name, id, class are common. Now I selected here electronics. What you see is text. What you see on screen is text. What it submits is value. If value is not defined, then same text will be submitted. If I don't define value, same text will be submitted. Sometimes value and text are different. For example, if you are using a shopping website, in a shopping website, usually they ask you to select a city. Then according to your city, they will check whether they can deliver that product to your city or not. But actually in the background, for city, they check the pin code. That means when you select city, it will verify the pin code of the city in the background. That means city is not submitted, city's pin code is submitted. That area pin code is submitted. So sometimes users may be not familiar with pin codes. That is the reason they ask you to allow location, allow your area, select your city, but in the background they use pin code. So that even you see, suppose you are booking tickets for train or flight, actually in the background train numbers, flight numbers will be there. You are not familiar with those numbers. It will ask you, you see IRCTC site, it will ask train number. Sometimes we don't know train number. Then what we do? We search for stations and select a train. Then automatically it will take the train number. That means what you see is not same submitted. What you see is different. What submitted is different. So what submitted is value. What you see is text. What submitted is value, what you see is text. That is, this is all text. Suppose for option, I will put a value. So I will put a value as all. Some lowercase anything I given as all. For electronics, I am giving value as suppose ELE, so 101. Some code of electronics, something like that. So, and for this value, I given some foot, so 102, something like this. These are some codes for them. And for suppose fashion, I am using same fashion. Sometimes what you see is the same submitted. Sometimes what you see is different, what you submit is different. So value indicates what to submit, and text indicates what to display. You see now I will save this, and here I am selecting as electronics and click on register. Then it submits electronics code. That means it is submitting value. It is not submitting electronics, it is submitting the value. But when I select fashion, you see register, it is submitting fashion, because value also we given same as text. If you don't give value, what it will submit? Text. If you don't define a value, by default what it will submit? Text. For example, I am not giving a value for this all. I am not giving a value for that all. And user selects that all and click register, it submits that all. If value is not defined, by default it will submit the text. So many times the value can be different from text. Value can be same as text. Sometimes value is not there, so text is used as value. So better always use values. You have to use values. Even text is there, you have to use value, because how you see, for your convenience they change. but in the background they cannot use in the same way. So that's the reason you have to use text and value both, right? That is the first important one, that is value. And selected is nothing but by default, whenever we open the page, by default you can see all is there. Sometimes what they do is, whenever you open website, they will display a pop-up. In the pop-up they will say that allow your location, and you say okay, allow my location. Then they will get your IP address. According to IP address, or they get your geolocation from which city you are accessing. That we can do in JavaScript. In JavaScript you will learn how to get the geolocation, and according to geolocation they will display the city. According to the geolocation they will display the city. So whenever page opens, by default one city is selected. That means which city you belong to, that city is selected. By default it is selected. So how you can make it here? Suppose I want this footwear selected, then here we have to just use an attribute called select. And there can be only one selected. You cannot give multiple selected. Already we know the condition. If you give all selected, only one will be there. So now I will save this. You can see by default it is selected. So whenever we open the page, automatically the footwear is selected. By default it is selected. However, we can change it. After you change and you click on submit, the page is submitted. After submitting the page, again footwear is selected. Because again the same page is loading for us. So when it loads, automatically the footwear will be there. However, your electronics is submitted. But by default, which one looks selected? Whatever the option you given as selected, that you have to define with selected. Another important, disabled. Disabled means temporarily it will not allow you to select. Why? Because sometimes for some cities some products are not available, but other products are available. So you cannot remove city. So instead of removing the cities, we have to disable and enable. That means, for example, temporarily I don't want fashion to be selected. Then I can just put an attribute for this. What is it? Disabled. Disabled, see, you can see the disabled value will be there in the list, but you cannot select it. It will be in the list, but we cannot select it. We cannot select it. So for that we have to use disabled. Many times people ask like, why you are keeping it and disabling it? Remove it. But if I remove for another product, again it should display. That means again I have to add. Instead of adding and removing, better disable and enable. So you can disable it and you can remove disable, then automatically it will be enabled. That means you can select it again. You can choose it. So these are the basic attributes for options. So how you define the options syntactically like this. So we have select. So name is some category, and select have an option. For the option we can put value as, suppose something like this, and here we defined city, some option like this. This is text, just roughly I am giving. And suppose we have another option, some value. Sometimes I told you that it will be same. It will be same. And any option if you want, you can make it selected. Just you have to use selected. like this. Any option you want, you can make it disabled. Disabled. Like this. You can keep disabled. So sometimes option text and value will be same, sometimes it will be different, and you can keep any one selected and many disabled. Disabled can be defined for more than one. Right. Now one more option is there. Here you can group the options in a drop down. You can group the options in a drop down by using OPT group. We have OPT group. You can group the options in a drop down by using OPT group. We can have an OPT group, that is option group. So that means we have a OPT group. This group will have a label as some electronics, and in this we will have option like TV. We have another option like mobile, like this, and we can close that group, OPT group. OPT group. In a select only we have to write. I just given you syntax. OPT group will be in a select. In select element you have to define. So here when you are displaying some categories, you see, suppose I am adding here OPT group. In OPT group you can keep a label. You can have a label. Label is some electronics. So under this you have option. One option is suppose TV. Another option is like mobile. Any number you can add. Another OPT group. Another group we given label as some footwear. And another option we have some casuals. So another option we have some sneakers, like this. So you can see now the list looks like this. By default, one I will give at the top ordinary option as all, or I can even give select category, something like this, and it will have like select category. And here you can see it is going to display everything in group. Category wise you can group them. For that you have to just use an OPT group. That is just label. You cannot select that category name. So you can select only items inside that category. So this is just a label, and under that you can group these options. So that is easy for displaying category wise contents and showing those categories. So for that we have to use an OPT group. However, OPT group is not going to submit. It is just going to show you classification. On the screen, you can see classified information. So it is not going to submit. Even don't think that you can know which category that TV belongs to. For that, again, you have to write some logic. That means it is just label. You cannot even use this label. You cannot use this label. Later in JavaScript, through logic, you have to write which category that product belongs to. But as of now, when you select TV or mobile, so it doesn't know that it belongs to electronics. It doesn't know that it belongs to footwear. It is just classification visually. It is not classifying logical. Logical, it is not classifying. That means if I select TV and click register, so it is just submitting TV only. It will just submit TV. We don't know which category it is. The category thing is only for displaying. So for that, we have to logically write the conditions to understand which category it belongs to. So this is just only label. It is just classification. For that, you can display. So here one important note is option group. Option group is used to classify the items into categories visually, not logically. That's important. It is just visually classifying the content, not logically classifying the content. That means technically after submitting which category it belongs to, you cannot tell that with HTML. We have to do it logically with JavaScript only. So, but you have to know this, how to configure and how to define. Right? So this is drop down list, how we can design a drop down list and what are the options. Now, same concept for list box. So for list box, everything same, only the change is attribute. So list box, it is similar. It is similar to drop down. It is similar to drop down, but allows the user to select one or multiple options from a group of choices, one or multiple options from a group of choices. User can select one or multiple. Here all elements are same as drop down. All elements are same as drop down. That means select, OPT group, option, all are same. Then how it is different? So to make it a list box, to make it a list, or you can say to transform, better, to transform into list box. That means to change into list box, you have to define the following attributes for select element. What are the attributes? We have multiple and we have size. That's it. That means if you give multiple and size, automatically it becomes a list box. That means syntactically you have to just write select size some 2 or 3, and you can use multiple. That's it. That makes it a list box. So if no size defined, so here if size and size or multiple attributes are not defined, then it is a drop down. If size or multiple any one attribute is defined, then it will automatically transform into a list box. It transforms into a list box. So size or multiple. Size or multiple means any one is enough. Either you give multiple or you give size. Automatically it will be changed into a list box. See now, here only one attribute is enough to change into a list box. One attribute is enough. Here, let's go. I will just here itself we can use, see, it is a drop down now. I will simply put an attribute called size. Size is equal to some 3 or 4 something. Now you can see automatically it changes into list box. List box means user can scroll and select. User can scroll and select. And when you are using list box, you don't need this first option. According to that, you have to remove the options and define. Rest of options are same. But by default, it allows to select only one. I click on register, it is submitting casuals. If you want to allow to select more than one, then just you have to add one more. See, you can use here. If I remove this, it is a drop down. And I give multiple now, it again changes into list box. Then what is difference between size and multiple? Multiple will be having default size. Size, our own wish, your own height and width you can mention. Multiple will have its own size. So then if I give size, I can give my own size like 4, then it will be more height. I can give like 5, then it will be like more height. I can give like 8, then it will be more height. The scroll bar depends on the height and the number of items inside it. If height and number of items are correctly configured, then scroll bar will come. Otherwise, scroll bar will not come. So that means here I can define the size and I can define multiple. What is advantage of multiple is now user can select more than one. But how to select more than one? You can use control key, shift keys, or you can drag. That means click and drag down, it is selected. Or you click the first one, scroll to here and use control key and select sneakers. That means these two are selected. You know, control key is for random selection. For sequence selection, you can use shift key. That means you select the first one, then go to the last, use a shift key and click on last. It will select all of them. You can use that, or you can simply drag and click on register. You can see it is submitting TV and mobile. It will submit what you have selected. So what is list box? Everything same like drop down. Only the point is at a single view, you can see multiple so that you can choose more than one. Drop down will not allow to select more than one. Drop down will allow to select only one. If you want to allow more than one, then you have to use the option multiple. So that is the basic thing. So rest of other options are same, no change. So here one more note I will give here. So multiple multiple attribute allows to select multiple using control or shift keys. So here you can also extend selection with drag, mouse pointer drag. You can also extend selection with mouse pointer drag. With mouse pointer drag, you can extend the selection. You can drag and select multiple options. So that is a drop down list. How we can define a drop down list and list box. And list box, already I told you, if I want checkbox list in a list, you cannot have checkboxes. In a list, you cannot have links. Sometimes people ask like, I want checkboxes. So already I told you, you cannot have checkbox list. For that, you have to manually design. Already we learned in previous session how to design a checkbox list. So list box can have only plain items. So many times people ask like, every item I want like checkbox, or every item I want like a button, or every item I want like a link. It's not possible. For that, you have to manually design by using CSS. That means in an option, you cannot put input type is equal to checkbox. It's invalid. Understood? In an option, you can put only text. Here you cannot display any element. You cannot display any element. You cannot even give the format for element. Format for element means you cannot say bold. So remember, better I will give here. Option is RC data type. Understood? RC data type. In the beginning, I told you RC data elements will not allow any another element within them. Remember, na? RC data elements will not allow any another element inside. So that means RC data means it is only plain text. Plain text. You cannot have any formats inside it. You cannot have bold, italic, colors. So all such things you have to apply by using only CSS. So you cannot have any symbols, icons also. Many times people ask about symbols and icons. That is also not possible. For example, see, suppose you have a website like some Flipkart. This is Flipkart. In this Flipkart, there is a drop down called more. More is a drop down. And when I click on that more drop down, a list comes. In that, every item is having an icon. That is not possible. That's not possible. Then how they designed it? They designed with CSS. This is not actual drop down. This is not form drop down. That is CSS drop down. By using CSS only, you can design such drop downs. So that means if anybody asks how I can get country flag beside every country, you see several drop downs. When you click, country names will come. Beside that, country flag will be there in the list. So icons will be there. It's not possible. HTML drop down will not allow any symbols. But how they design such drop downs? With the help of Bootstrap. With CSS only they have designed. So CSS drop downs will allow to put anything inside it. General HTML drop downs and list box will not allow any symbol. That is the reason I said they are only RC data type. So that means symbols, images and icons not allowed. So inside them they are not allowed. Then how to design that? That you will learn in CSS. How to design such drop downs with symbols and icons and all. HTML drop down will not allow. It will not allow. Right. So this is basically drop down and list box. Next important in the form elements, we have a meter element. Meter element. We have a meter element. Meter. Actually, so it is used as grade meter. It is used as grade meter. It can display a value range. It can display a value range. It is read only. So it will not allow to change. It will not allow to change manually. So, but it can change dynamically. Dynamically means through logic it can change. Manually, it will not allow to change. Manually, it will not allow to change. It is read only. It will not allow to change manually, but it can change dynamically. Dynamically means through your logic. So, for example, syntactically, how we design the meter. So, attributes for meter. Important attributes, you have min, you have max, you have value. Min, max and value already we learned in number and range. In number and range, we have min, max and value. So here we have low and high. Low and high. Additionally, you have low and high. What is that low and high? We will see. Actually, low must be above minimum and below high. High must be below maximum and above low. That is the condition for low and high. I will show you that, then you can understand. Above minimum and below high. That is the condition for giving these meter controls. Mostly these are used for grade meters and ratings, like things we can do dynamically, we can show. For example, suppose, let's see, that means syntactically you have to define in this way: meter, min, max, value, and low and high, like this. I will tell you the conditions, then you can understand. The conditions I will show you step by step how they actually display. Then it is more easy to handle. Meter have this min, max, value, low and high. Remember, meter will not allow manually to change. Suppose I want to change the value from 100 to 90, 80, 70. You saw a slider. You saw a slider, input type range. In input type range, a slider will come. We can slide the slider and we can change. But meter will not allow to change. But it can change according to situation dynamically. Through logic, it can change. For examples, see, suppose here I will design like this. I'm using, you don't need this form and all because it's not going to change anything. Field set and legend, and I given as suppose password strength. And here I'm just giving data list, data term. Suppose strong password. Below this, I am giving here a data definition. Here we have meter. This meter control, you can see initially the meter looks like this. So let's run this page. The meter looks like this. It is simple meter control. Height, width, depending on your style, you can configure. For example, above I am just giving style in that meter. So width is equal to some 100% and height as suppose 20 pixel, and the meter will display like this. Now it is normal, it looks normal because there are no values mentioned. Meter requires the options. So min is equal to suppose 1. You can start with any number, 100,000, 10,000, 0.1, 0.5. Even you can use fractions also. Anything. It doesn't matter. Any numeric range. It may be a fractional range or it may be an integer range. Anything you can give. Minimum is this. Maximum is 100. Still no change. No change. Now I am giving value as 20. Now you can see it shows 20% filled. Now I given here 80. It shows 80% filled. 80% filled. And I say 100. That means the max. Then it will be 100% filled. Right? So whatever the max is there, if you give any value outside max, that means nothing will happen because it will stop at max. It will stop at max. So this you cannot change manually. That means there is no option that I can click and drag and change that value. This meter is read only. That means it will just show you. Then how it will change? It will change dynamically. Dynamically means through our logic. That means in JavaScript we will write logic. If the password is having one uppercase letter 50%, it is having a special character 80%, it is having alphanumeric then 100%. That means we can change the value dynamically through our logic. It cannot be changed manually. So like slider, I cannot slide this value. It is changed dynamically according to the situation. It will change. So as of now, you can just put this minimum, maximum and all. Suppose see how we can use low and high. Here currently low and high values are not used. So I am using some weak password. Okay, I am giving here another meter control, meter. And in this we have min is equal to 1, max equal to 100, value also 100. So by default, low is 0 and high is 0. That means if you don't give low and high, by default they are 0. They are 0. So even if I give low, high 0, you will not see any change. But see how to give low value. Low value should be above minimum. Above minimum. Above minimum means above 1. Anything you can give above 1. So suppose if minimum is 100, then low value must be above 100. Above minimum. So I will give some 20. And it should be below high. Below high value. Currently high value is not given. High value I given as suppose 60. High value given as 60. 60, 20. That means this low value cannot be 80. Understood? That means low value must be above minimum and below high. Not below maximum, below high. How much high value is there? 60. That means this meter low value can be how much? Under 60. 1 to 60. Low value can be 1 to 60. Anything between 1 to 60 it can be there. Suppose I am giving here as some 20. So, or say 40, and here I given 80. That means I have 40 gap between them. 40 gap is there. Between low and high, we have 40 gap. And you can see that automatically it colors changes. So that is the color for weak. We cannot have other colors. There are some standard colors. 3 colors will be there. Red and this warning color. That means we call them contextual. Contextual color means success, warning, error. 3 colors will be there. Success color, warning color, error color is called danger. Danger color. 3 colors will be there. This is warning color. This is warning color. We call these colors as contextual. So meter. So note here, meter can have contextual colors. So that is warning. This will be like gold, yellow, something like this. And success, this will be green. And danger is red, like this. These 3 colors will be there. So what is the condition? If low and high is equal to 0, then success. If low and high is equal to 0, then success. If low and high, range value is minimum. If low and high value is minimum, low and high range value is minimum. That means the between value is minimum, less, very less, then it is danger. And if low and high range value is maximum, then it is warning. That is the condition for colors. That is the condition for colors. And one more point is always the max, the value must be set to max. Always the value must be set to max for contextual colors. For contextual colors, always the value must be set to max for contextual colors. We have to set the value to max. If value is not set to max, contextual colors will not come. I will show you those conditions here. What are the conditions for displaying the colors and configuring them? So see here, this is warning. Okay, I will give another data term, poor password. And data definition, we have a meter and min is equal to 1, max equal to 100, value is equal to 100, low is 60 and high is 80. That means we have less gap now. Earlier we are having maximum gap. Now we are having minimum gap. If minimum gap between low and high, then it changes to red color. It will change to red color. These colors we can keep changing while they are typing. That's what you learn in JavaScript. In JavaScript, you will learn how to change the colors and show. When you are typing password or you are typing something, then according to that, it will display. So that is weak password or strong password. Remember, its directions our wish. Currently, meter is horizontal. You can rotate 60 degree, 40 degree, 100, 90 degrees vertically you can display. That's all with CSS. Because sometimes people immediately ask, sir, I want vertical bars. How? You can rotate your elements in any angle. You can rotate in CSS, you can rotate your content in any angle. So in any angle you can display. So that's not a question at all, right? So usually this is important. See, if I change the value not to max, I change the value to 80. And you can see its contextual colors are not correctly coming because the range so is not correctly configured. So that is the reason you have to keep all these value to how much? 100. Means not 100, max. How much max is there? Value also same. Then only you will get these contextual colors correctly. So you will learn in while working with JavaScript and logically working with JavaScript programs, you will see how to change the color dynamically. As of now, we are changing the colors by applying the value manually. So here we need to define the color ranges like this now. How you will get? So meter, here we have minimum is equal to 1, maximum is equal to 100. So value is equal to 100 and the low is equal to 0 and high is equal to 0. So this will get green, right? This is for getting you the success, or say you say green. And if I say meter, min is equal to 1, max is equal to 100, value also equal to 100, and low is equal to some 20 and high is equal to some 80. So then it is yellow. That is yellow. And another, this is called warning. Another one is meter, min is equal to 1, max equal to 100. So value is equal to 100. So low is equal to some 60 and high is equal to 80. Then meter, this is red. That's how the meter range will happen. Another problem is you cannot have the text inside meter and display. Such things we can't do here. So such things we do by using CSS again. For this is meter, we have one more option here. This is the meter control. How to manage those colors and effects dynamically, we are going to learn in JavaScript, right? In JavaScript we will learn. Sometimes people ask, like, suppose I given some 20% or 30% value, I given as some 50. When I give value as 50, you can see the value is 50. This is 50. Sometimes people ask, like, I want inside that 50 green area, I want some text like 50% completed. I want to show some text inside. It's not possible. Meter cannot have text inside it. Meter cannot have text inside it. You have to keep the text either left or right. Inside you cannot keep. For example, suppose for meter, I am writing here. So 1 and I am giving here 100. And you can see the value will be 1 and 100. So it will display like this. Of course, you already know how to keep side by side. You can put display, flex, display, inline like options we can keep. So if I want some text in between, suppose you see here, I am writing here as, so 50% completed. You can see that is not available. But sometimes that is general requirement. People ask like, we want in that green area to show 50% completed, 50% remaining, 70% completed, 70% remaining. We can't show that. For that, again, we have to use Bootstrap. By using Bootstrap, we can do that. That means we cannot make it possible with the help of these form elements. So Bootstrap allows with the help of classes. By using those classes, we can display. So this is a meter control. Similar to meter, you have other elements. So we have like a progress, how we can use a progress. So, and some more options are there. We have text area. These two we will see in the next session tomorrow, right? And in tomorrow's session, very important, don't miss, because tomorrow we are going to learn regular expression. I told you how to validate the forms, how to write regular expressions. And if you miss this, you cannot handle this even in JavaScript, jQuery, Angular, React. Everywhere same topic will repeat, right? So from tomorrow we will finish the forms concept. After forms, we have one more multimedia. And with that, we will finish HTML. Then we will start with CSS. Mostly in 2-3 sessions, we will finish the HTML part. Then we will go into CSS. In HTML, some advanced options are there. Advanced like Canvas, SVG, such things you can do with JavaScript only after learning JavaScript. So such things we will later discuss. So basic HTML we will finish. So in 2-3 sessions, then we can start working with now CSS. Okay. And tomorrow we will continue. And tomorrow same offline, online sessions. But for online people, previous online link will be there, not this link. You are given with a new link for few days. So previous online link you have to use to log in from tomorrow onwards. Okay. Offline, same location, right? It will continue. Tomorrow will continue, right?